A big hello to our Alive Physio and Wellness community. My name is Shalani Pereira and this is Nad Pereira.
Hi everyone.
Usually I'm behind the screen answering your calls, doing the invoices, working on the newsletter, all the fun things you do when you run a business. But today I thought I'll show my face. Obviously we are a husband and wife run clinic, and we've been running the practice for nearly 13 years now.
Wow.
And we've been married together for nearly 16 years. So it's been a very interesting, enjoyable journey so far.
Absolutely.
Hope you agree with me.
Yes.
So obviously we're all facing some challenging times.
Difficult times these days, isn't it? With what's happening around the world. But hopefully we can shed some positivity through some advice from both of us.
So just like everyone else, we've been trying to keep to a routine, doing yoga with the kids in the morning, lots of board games. If the weather's nice, we've been going out for bike rides and walks, and a lot of cooking, and kids have been cooking too. That's a lot of cooking and eating. So
yes, a lot of enjoying the times with that. I guess that's a great thing. Despite all this, how I look at it is how close together we have been as a family group. So I guess that's one of the positive things that may be, for a lot of you out there as well, that may be the case as well. So yeah. So
one of the biggest values in our practice is educating our clients. Right. And we do that through our monthly newsletter, sharing Nad's advice, links, YouTube links, and then some of the posts that we put on Facebook, and also when Nad's treating you, educating you all about your injury or your concern. So what we want to try and do is empower you to really take charge of your health, and what you do right now is going to be really important when you come out of this. Mm-hmm. So
and one of the things I want to also is this platform, this medium of having through video allows us to even get that connection as well, that education side of things, which I'm really pleased about. This is one of the things that all my clients back when I first started, some of you may have known that I was really keen on promoting that education side of things through video. So the greatest thing is it's actually now managed to,
we finally done it.
Doing it now. So we're in a situation where we have to actually do that. So it's really great to have this opportunity as well.
So today I thought I'll ask Nad some of the common questions that we get in from our patients. Now most of us are working from home, and kids are about to start online learning starting this week. Nad, I just want to ask you, what are some of the healthy posture habits you should have?
So I'm going to sort of talk about it in a very general sense, because like all of you would know me, I'm a very a type of person that likes to assess and really find the individualistic cause to help you out. So I'm speaking in this broad general sense of things to watch out for, right? So first of all, let's talk about what are the key areas that are needing to watch out for in our bodies when we are in that position in our workspace. Now that we are having to sort of modify our workspace at home to it, so we may not necessarily get that ergonomically designed chair or table. If you have that, that's a big bonus. Even a sit to stand desk, it's a big bonus. But in realistically, we may just only have like the dining table or a desk sort of thing, right? So one of the key things to watch out for our bodies are areas like the neck and the mid back and your pelvis, particularly when you're sitting down. So key things, when we sit for a prolonged time, we tend to slump, and when we slump, it causes the head to sort of jut forward, right? Which then causes a lot of stress and strain in the neck. So some of the things we can do is to watch out for our posture, trying to do the opposite. So like if you can imagine, if you're forward slouching through that, trying to sort of bring ourselves back, trying to elongate our spine. So some of those things are really easy tips to that. And we don't want you to be in that position bolt upright as well. So that can also cause us stress too, right? So what we want to try and get you to do is be fidgety as much as you can, right? So meaning that you're going to be in a couple of seconds in that forward slumped position, but you're also going to come out of that position as well. So it's very important that you don't stay in one position. So the best analogy I tend to give my patients is, if you can imagine with your finger, if you bend it like this, right? And if you hold that position for say for a couple of minutes, you'll start to experience that stress in through here. You'll feel that straining. That's just like that with your spine as well. So if you are in that position for a length of time, that can happen as well, right? So what we want you to do is, again, movement, frequency, fidgety, that sort of thing. So the theoretical bit they talk about is every 20 minutes, 20-30 minutes
should have a break,
right? So that would be a really ideal scenario, right? Or even changing position and posture at least, right? Do something different, getting up from the chair, walk for like short distance, come back, or stand if you can stand and read. One of my clients asked, we were talking about, because they're having to sit for a couple of hours, 2 hours to get their work done, whilst the kids are actually outside. So they were trying to sort of work on that 2 hours thing. And she happened to mention, I miss my leg, like she has a sit to stand desk. So she wanted to try and stretch out the legs. And what I suggested was maybe, taking a laptop on and placing it in a tall boy, because that's kind of like a little bit high. So that can be a really good thing to sort of, if it's possible. And maybe doing a meeting for a short period of time with that, if you do lots of meetings and so forth, right? So that's a really good possible another sort of suggestion there, right?
So really being conscious about your posture and where you are and how you're doing it.
Yeah, and I believe we sent a newsletter regarding the posture, some of the posture tips that you can go through. So if you go into our website under the news section,
newsletter.
Our March newsletter, click on that, and they should have some advice on the posture side. And I think we were thinking about putting a video in there. They can go into that. So please use that information. And if you really need to get a little bit more, specific and one-on-one, we actually starting our online consultation as well. So that's a really great way to ask individually how to sort of set up things as well, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in today's talk as well.
Yeah. So now that most of us are at home, we can't do our regular exercises.
That's right.
Going to the gym and all that.
Yep.
So in the meantime, we have to still keep moving, and that's extremely important.
That's right. Yes.
What type of exercises should we do during this time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And like I said, it's all individual dependent, and there is depending on your body type and so forth. So let me talk about a couple of scenarios perhaps, then that might be able to sort of give you a little bit more which way am I thinking of into there, right? So say for example, you're not a type of person that's very active and fit, so you want to get into at least you're keeping your walking, start off with walking, get your heart rate a little bit more working through with that. Things like a basic simple yoga, right, is a really good way to sort of get your flexibility working through, because sometimes when we sit we tend to stiffen up in through our like lower back, hips as well from the sitting down position. So,
and there are plenty on YouTube.
Yeah, so there's plenty of YouTube sort of clips, and if you are wanting to know a little bit more what links that we have tried, we tried like recently as well. So there's a few good ones out there. So we can definitely suggest some ones as well, and we can also recommend a few local ones that we know of good yoga teachers as well, so they who are doing Zoom at the moment, so we can probably do that as well. So get in touch with us about the yoga side of things, right? Yoga is a great way of introducing changing improving flexibility, breathing, so there's different types. Another thing is Tai Chi. Tai Chi is a really nice way to help out with your posture and movement and energy aspect of things. So why I picked those two is virtually because of the overall holistic nature of that health aspect we can get from that. So this day and age, because of what's happening out there, we kind of be a lot more stressed and anxious about what's happening in through this world. So those ones are really good. Cardio wise, listen, it's also a good thing. I'd say if you can, just a few exercise where elevating your heart rate. I tend to use kettlebells. I love kettlebells, and using it in a different style of that too, right? So I can sort of recommend a couple of things, and more than happy to, if you're interested in me showing you a few exercises, I'm happy to do that as well.
So if you're missing your weights,
yes,
that's a good way to keep up with that, isn't it? Kettlebells.
So I'm a huge fan of kettlebells because I think Shalani might have mentioned that I had big tummy, put on a lot of weight, and that's one of my secrets to losing a lot of weight. So kettlebells are my hugest fan, so I really love kettlebells. And but the key thing I guess is varying it, right? So if you can do perhaps a yoga, cardio, and changing it up, it's kind of like eating different foods. So if we can get that experience of variation, right, what happens is our muscle groups have to work a little bit differently. So do our brains. So our brains don't get sluggish as well. So we start to experience different movements. So think of it in that way. We change that, and that it's going to sort of help out into that way. Yeah.
The other question I have is, this is a pretty broad question, but if you could briefly answer. We are very big on not just our physical health, not looking after not just our physical health, but the emotional wellness as well.
Absolutely.
Because our mind, body, spirit, that's all connected.
Yeah.
How is our emotional wellness? How would our emotional wellness affect the overall body or physical health?
That's right. So think of it this way: our physical body, think of it like it's a temple, right? So we want to, and a really shield. It's kind of like our armor, right? So one of the key things is the movement side of things makes a huge difference. So even starting that process is really good, right? When we start to get worried and anxious and stressed out about things, what tends to happen is we tend to breathe differently. And when we tend to breathe differently, we don't allow our organs to move and so forth. So one of the things I'm hoping to do is show you a few video clip of what it looks like when we don't breathe properly and what happens to our organs inside, right? So I'd like to share that link with you in a future sort of episode to explain to you about this. So the key thing when that doesn't happen, right, our organs don't move, it becomes a bit sluggish, and then what happens is we then when we eat our digestion doesn't work, and then it has this vicious cycle, right? So one of the key things what we must do is incorporate breathing, even having, I guess the great thing, although we are isolated in this situation, they talk about isolation, right? Being in isolation, but we have the avenue of technology, right? Technology to talk to people, and by talking, that also helps a great deal as well. You know, by having a chat about how we're looking at it, and taking the time also to talk to kids as well, right? One of the things I think you mentioned, what we used to do is the sweet and sour thing, yes, as around the dinner table. Right?
This is, I think, one of our favourite things to do.
Yes.
During dinner time, we do a thing called sweet and sour. So we go around the dinner table, and each person has to say the sweet thing about their day and the sour thing about their day. And you know, it's a great way to get the kids to talk, talk about their feelings, how, you know, if they've had a bad day, how they feel, and then we talk about, you know, how we can turn that around with having a different mindset. So that's one of the things we do.
Yes, that's one of the things.
And I'm sure you can, you know, if you can incorporate that into your lifestyle.
It's a great way to communicate and just talk to one another how they're feeling, right? I think also the gratitude journal. I think we recently thought so.
I've been doing a gratitude journal for nearly couple of years now, and the kids are doing that too. So every night I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for that day, and what I've found is, even, you know, doesn't mean that I don't have bad days. I have bad days. We all do. Yep. But when you start to be grateful for what you have, you actually start to look at the bad days in a very different way. You can turn it around very quickly. Obviously, it's not something you can do overnight. You've got to, you know, get into a habit of doing that. We've got the kids to do it as well, so they do it every night, and we've definitely noticed a big change.
It's seeing the other side, isn't it? So it's that positivity and seeing, because the world these days, from what we're hearing from the news, it is kind of gloomy. So this is a great thing. So and we hope some of this may, you know, you can use these tips and so forth, and even if you do. And you're finding it really great and so forth, just send a message in Facebook and let us know how was it, right? So we like to find out some feedback from through that. So.
And most of the things we do doesn't cost much. You know, you just need to have a journal. You just need a just
paper,
a journal and a pen, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
So just have like a dedicated sort of book into that you can do. So
But I think the hardest thing is the discipline.
Yes.
To, you know, get into it, and then having that as a habit.
Yes, 21 days. I think that's what it is.
That's what they say.
21 days. So make sure get into that habit. 21 days. it'll become automatic. I think some people have said a little bit longer, but I think if you stick with it 21 days, it'll become a habit. And also reflect during the journal as well. So when you actually going through that 21 days, you learn, and when you look back at it and you read some of the things back and think, wow, I've come a long way in how I'm thinking and how I'm looking at things. So that's the greatest thing about looking through there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so thank you, Ned.
That's it.
We're going to talk a little bit about a new service that we offering, Telehealth, which is online consultation. I'm sure you've heard this many times.
Yes.
Telehealth is a buzzword at the moment.
Yes.
Can I ask you what it is, how it works, and what can the patients expect?
Absolutely. So telehealth, it's a buzzword now, but before all this happened, right, the buzz around it, I had it all planned out. It just didn't get the time to do it. Now that it's come up through some of the services that we have, it's been great. So telehealth is all about communicating like this in such a way through online, and being able to ask questions and helping determine what the problem is for patients and so forth. So we have a dedicated software for that.
Through our database.
Through our database. So it's very secure, safe and secure. And also with the privacy side of things, it's really good. So we've taken the time to look at a lot of that software and making sure that it's safe, and the information that we collect is also safe too. Because as a health practice, that's one of our priorities within through that. So one of the things is also the background of implementing, getting that information as well. So we're sending out so the process, we have that process as well, right? I'll talk about that process a bit more, but that's in the gist of it, what telehealth is. So it's,
what can they expect?
So what they can expect. So really, let's just I want to sort of clear that white elephant sort of thing. So yes, there's no hands-on therapy with this, right? But also the great thing about it is most of the things when we talk about it, it's really about like diagnosing from the question. So there's research that shows that 90% of our diagnosis comes from actually the history. So the history of meaning asking you questions and narrows it down to the likely possibilities. So one of the things is by having that expert questioning and getting that information from you from a form, and then a face-to-face chat like what we're doing here, will allow us to diagnose to a few probable possibilities, and then we may get you to do a couple of key movements that will give us a little bit more indication of what the likelihood of your problem is, right? And then we can set up exercises or strategies to help you. So for example, we can show you how to look after, how to massage particular key areas yourself using different products as well. And what we also can do is giving you advice, okay, what to sort of avoid and so forth. So the greatest thing I find with this format is it starts to get the ball rolling, right? And the great thing about it is it's so much active on your behalf too, isn't it? So you're going to get empowered from it, and that's the greatest thing. As practitioners, that's one of the things we love to get our patients, is being involved with their care, right? And the more you get involved with it, you can also ask the questions from us and through that. So that's the brilliant thing about it. So that's why I always wanted to have this, and it's great. So I'm really, excited about what's happening through these times. So yeah.
And more the patient, more they're involved, the better outcome is, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's the key to it. So by having more involvement through that, and that's going to sort of help out, right? And then, you know, if there's things that later on when everything this all clears out, we're hoping that we can still use this tool, because it's such a fantastic tool to be able to incorporate this.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about who can access telehealth.
Yes. I'm really bad at that. So she's the one who's really good at all
Do you
those
want to click that
yes.
slide for me?
I think that will
Please,
probably be-
thank you.
Yeah.
So anyone can access telehealth. Now, with all the, you know, this drama, private health, some private health insurance companies have come on board and they are covering telehealth physio consultations. So check with your insurer, because not all of them are covering. So check with your insurer.
Yes.
You can have a consultation with NAD, and then you can claim it through the private insurance. Now, also the other party that can use telehealth is patients who have chronic disease management plans. If you've already, so what it is if you've had an ongoing chronic condition for a long time, you can get a chronic disease management plan through your GP. And again, at the moment, you can get that done through the phone or by a telehealth appointment with your GP, and they'll email that plan to you. And then you can, and they are bulk billed. They are bulk billed until September, I believe, this year. So you get five sessions per calendar year, and that can go towards your telehealth consultations as well. So anyone can use telehealth, but those are the two different ways you can use. If you've got private health insurance, you can check with your provider, and they are starting this as of tomorrow, so Tuesday the 14th of April. Check with your provider, and if you and the other option is to get a chronic disease management plan from your GP and do it that way.
And take advantage of that, really. That's the main thing, and particularly with the times like this where you can start to get on the exercise side of things as well. So with a little bit of advice from myself through the consultation platform there, that's going to make a huge difference. So when you start to get the exercise going, then you can progress your exercise and also your health, particularly with the chronic conditions as well. So,
Having said that, we are still open. Our Camberwell clinic is still open. Yeah. So if you want a face-to-face consultation, we are open in Camberwell. Unfortunately, we are closed in Canberra.
Very much sad to see all the folks in Canberra and so forth, but hang in there, guys. I'll be there soon, right?
Yeah. So just finally, we both like to say a massive thank you for everyone who's checking in on us through email and text messages. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And if you've got any feedback or any topic that you want us to discuss, or I can interview some other experts in that area.
Which is what I'm so excited. Like I said, this is our first time doing talk, and I'm so excited about it.
what we're going to do.
Yeah. So
if you've got any feedback, suggestions, send us an email to info@alivephysioandwellness.com.au, or if you want to talk to us, you can call us on 1300 538 999. And what else?
And I think if you want more information about telehealth and so forth, I've just made the website. So if you go into the website, it should have at the first page If you want a little bit more information, just click on the more information button there, and then you'll have a little bit more blurb about what we do with the telehealth.
What
And
to
I'm
expect.
hoping to actually get the telehealth maybe on video and so forth, but don't promise me on that. But yeah, we'll try to have that so as you can sort of see what it looks like on and through there. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for listening to us.
Yeah.
Please feel free to email us or call us if you've got any questions, feedback, or suggestions.
All right.
And we'll
All right,
talk to you
guys.
soon.
All right.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.